Hello, my name is Robert Hitt. I'm the owner and creator of AstroEcon. What we're going to do today is give you a brief tour of the facilities here. After that, I'm going to introduce you to some of the techniques that we use to forecast markets. We're going to start with the currencies here. These screens behind me. What we've got is we've got various major currencies that we watch every day. This is intraday of the same currency pairs, US dollar, dollar yen, and the pound US dollar. We also watch gold. Gold is another form of currency, and it's very important in today's world. The next thing we're going to look at is the four top screens on the array here, which are daily charts that I have set up on my Wave 59 software. I'm going to pick up my handy scepter here that I found around the house. We have gold daily chart, we have the NASDAQ daily chart, we have the S&P Spiders daily chart, and the Dow Diamonds daily chart. We're going to look at the gold chart first. I want you to look at the different moving averages that we've put on this chart. Plus, you can see the Gann fan lines that I use. They're very handy. All these moving averages are Fibonacci-based moving averages. They're 34, 55, 144, and 255 day moving averages. You can also see on this chart that I put some retracement lines in to gauge how deep this correction would be. The second chart we're going to look at is the NASDAQ QQQ. This indice, this ETF, has suffered a tremendous correction since back into late 2007. As you can see, it's still really not very far off of its bottom yet. The third chart we're going to look at is the S&P Spiders. This is based on the S&P 500. As you can see, the correction is slightly different shape than the NASDAQ QQQ. Still very severe correction that this market has suffered. The lower indicator here is a slow stochastic. I find it very useful in gauging overbought, oversold conditions. The last daily chart that we're going to look at is the Dow Diamonds. This tracks the Dow Jones Industrial Average. As you can see, the Dow has been conforming rather nicely to the Gann lines. We've got some retracement levels in, and that's what we're watching. We're watching all three of these indices as they're trading on a daily basis to keep the big picture in mind. Next up, we're going to show the intraday charts, which is really what we're all about here, is catching these small moves during the day or over a day or two period of time. Now we're going to start with our intraday charts. This screen right here is my portfolio of futures prices live. This data feed then feeds the rest of my intraday charts. What you're seeing here is the S&P futures contract, the E-mini. Down at the bottom of this chart, you'll see a blue line. This is an astroharmonic indicator that's generated by the Wave 59 software. The vertical lines on this chart are my intraday astro hits, which you will become familiar with as time goes along. These lines indicate when the planets are moving over the Chicago exchange, and that is one of the key things that I'm doing here as far as my television show is concerned, and teaching how to work with that type of information. This chart is an 8-minute bar chart versus the 1 minute we were seeing on the previous two screens. This is a 55-minute bar chart. I like to use Fibonacci numbers on my time sequences. This has got a stochastic at the bottom as well as this does. I like to try and keep bigger time frames in mind so that I don't become too focused on only a 1-minute chart. The last two charts are the NASDAQ future contract and the Dow Jones future contract. I like to watch these two. I don't trade them, but I like to watch patterning, relative strength versus the S&P. It's one reason why I keep them right there in front of me. What I also look at while I'm trading is the Astral Clocks. This one happens to be Chicago. That's the favorite location that I use. I also have my own chart up. I'm aware of where the planets are regarding what my own personal chart is. And then over here is the New York real-time Astral Clock. Alright, I want to show you this Astral Clock. This Astral Clock is set to Chicago. The green lines that you see in the center of this chart here have to do with the angles from one planet to another, and these are very relevant. This is actually what we trade off of, is these aspects. Right now you've got Moon in opposition to Venus. You've got Moon in a trine 120 degrees to both Mars and Jupiter. And you've got Mars and Jupiter at 60 degrees to Venus. This is a very potent type of astrological alignment. The dots that you see across here are actually the separating aspect of this big Saturn-Uranus opposition that's been vexing this market now since last year. The Moon has to do with the public's mood. Venus has to do with the perceived sense of value. When you have Moon and Venus in a stress aspect, generally this translates into fairly substantial moves in currencies. That's one of the things that we would expect to be happening today. We can put this chart into motion on a daily basis. I have the ability, using my animation feature on this, to actually click through and see what tomorrow and the next day and the next day is going to bring. And as you can see, the aspects change as time goes on, and the different energies that you have change every day. And that's one of the reasons why the mood in the markets changes and the issues that they're concentrating on changes. So we go out in time, and I can look at a future date and go, oh, you know, everybody's not going to be in a good mood that day, or, oh, they're going to be too optimistic that day. And that makes a big difference in how we're going to trade that day, is what are we anticipating the issue for the day is going to be. And I want to explain something first of all. This line right here is the horizon. East and west. That's east, that's west. Yeah, I know it's backwards. That's okay. East and west. This is straight up in the sky, up where the sun is when it's at noon. This is straight down below where the sun is at midnight. So if we put this into motion for 1 hour at a time, we can see that the sun sets. What we're looking at here is an actual representation of what the sky is at Chicago. We're looking at Chicago because that's where the futures are traded. So right now in Chicago, Venus just went very high up in the sky. The sun is, you know, at your 3 o'clock Chicago time position, getting ready to set. This is the western horizon. Mars and Jupiter are just getting ready to set right now. What we do is we have this clock running during the day, and we can see when the planets are passing across these angles, and that's generally when astrological energies that are in play for that day are going to show up in prices. We're giving you a brief introduction to what we're doing here. What I'm actually trying to do today is to just introduce you to the trading room, the way that we look at things, and also the fact that astrology does not happen to be the only factor that we watch. We have to watch technicals, we have to watch the fundamentals. There's a huge political element in these markets in that they're manipulated, and what we do every day is have to weigh between what these different forces are. The astrology is not a system in and of itself. It gives us clues as to when changes are going to happen. And if you don't know how to trade, you're not going to be able to use astrology to make you any better. If you do know how to trade, astrology is going to be very helpful in giving you that slight edge, and some days even a huge edge over the other guys that don't know this information. This is Robert Hitt saying goodbye for now. I'll see you next week.